everyone, welcome back to TV Guys. It's 2026 and it's official. I've seen more shows this year than I've seen people. I'm Matt.
I'm Brian, and I failed.
And you failed. See, I had the TV on so much that the "Are you still watching?" button filed a restraining order. You just reruns, and I guess a life.
Well, I do have a life. Part of that life is Sabrina and I are always rewatching something. So like I've watched a lot of shows, but not like we watched like Superstore and Brooklyn Nine-Nine and The Muppet Show and not new things.
And The Muppet Show. I have to watch it all the time.
You know what? And here's how you know that I found the right one for me. When I got to the last episode that we watched, she was sad that there was no more to watch, and she mentioned just last week, "I'm sad there's no more Muppet Show to watch." I really liked that.
Oh, I told you guys when Halloween rolled around that Jack was like, "I really want to watch Muppets Haunted Mansion," and one of the first, not the first, but one of the first Christmas movies that we watched this last year was Muppet Christmas Carol at his behest, and so. Muppet Christmas Carol is just, I find that to be so funny that is really the most accurate portrayal of Christmas Carol and uses the most of the actual Dickens dialogue and writing in its film. And so it's really impressive that they can provide that. Or as Gonzo says, it's culture.
Yep, exactly. But here's your annual reminder. If you're watching the Muppet Christmas Carol on Disney Plus, don't hit play. Go to the extras and go to the theatrical version and play that one, which has the song When Love Is Gone added into it.
And the song, I can understand why they cut it, and I can understand why they're like, oh, it slows the pacing down. But Michael Caine and his weeping during that song is really moving and is a great, some of the best acting he does in the film.
Yeah. It's a very moving moment. I wish they'd move it to Pittsburgh.
Good reference. All right. Yep. Well, hey, what we're going to do, we've done this plenty of years before. We've talked about, hey, what is the best movies, or not movies, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong podcast. What are the best TV shows from the previous year? Because every year there's always a ton, and every year going into it, you're like, oh, I can't wait for this and this and this and this. And then you get to the end of the year and you're like, wait, what did I watch? And so hopefully some of this that I bring up, you'll be like, oh yeah, that was this year. And then some of the stuff I really want to get you guys, I'd love to give you options and recommendations for some really good shows to watch, and then just talk about some shows that sucked and were on and fine. So part of this is just I'm bragging about all the shows I watch. I don't know if bragging is the right word.
Depends on who thinks what is important.
Does Matt have a life? Is Matt okay? Does he have friends? No, the answer to all of those, no.
See, TV is better than Friends because they can't leave you unless your Wi-Fi goes out.
You won't leave me. You're sticking around. Never letting you go. Good thing that our TVs don't talk to us. All right. So, Brian, I'm going to spin a wheel, and that wheel is your mouth. And that's the worst way to phrase that.
You know what? I don't know exactly how, but it sounds dirty.
All right. So I'm going to have you pick, and I'm going to tell you the categories. We can talk about Netflix, Apple TV, Paramount Plus, Peacock, HBO Max, Prime Video, Hulu, Disney Plus, or cable. What do you got?
Let's start with Disney Plus.
Disney Plus it is. All right. So do you want me to jump off, or do you have anything from Disney Plus that you wanted to talk about?
Actually, I do, thanks to this podcast. The Star Wars shows, either Andor or Skeleton Crew.
I forgot about Skeleton Crew. I have Andor on here. Both of those were just fantastic TV this year.
Agreed. And I am one, I am a medium level Star Wars fan. And so a lot of the extra stuff, I'm like, okay, do we need a movie about every single minor character? But I did like those a lot. I will say Skeleton Crew was easier to follow. There's a lot of moving pieces to Andor, but I liked them both a lot.
Yeah, Skeleton Crew is very accessible. So if you like the Goonies and you just want to see a unique take on that type of story, watch Skeleton Crew. It's really good, a lot of fun. Andor is really good, but it has some really awesome things to say about the power of tyranny and the corruption of power. And so like any sort of political unrest show can easily go political, obviously, but this show does such a good job of being like, watch how people in power behave, and it's more like anti-power than it is like anti-Democrat or anti-Republican. And so they do a really good job of like, you can easily apply some of these things to the other side and be like, that's what they do. But like no one is the Empire. No one's building a Death Star. All right. So it's able to tie some of these hard truths about reality and put it in a Star Wars sanitation and for some really compelling television. So they do such a good job of walking that line, in my opinion.
No, I think so too. Yeah. And there's also just fantastic acting in both of those with Jude Law and Pedro Pascal, respectively.
Yes. Yeah. Well, Pedro Pascal was in Mandalorian. You mean Jude Law in Skeleton Crew?
Yeah, but who's Andor?
Oh, and then Diego Luna.
Diego Luna, yes. Yeah, I got them mixed up. Pedro Pascal is just in everything lately.
You can say, this show with Pedro Pascal, and if you know nothing about the show, you still have a good chance of being right that he's in it.
I still say Pedro Pascal is like, we want a movie with Nathan Fillion. Let's copy our homework, but don't make it too obvious. Okay, we'll put Pedro Pascal in there.
See, Pedro Pascal is not nearly as dynamic as Nathan Fillion. That doesn't mean he's bad by any means. But with Pedro Pascal, there's a lot more that is subtle to his performances. And he does a good job of putting some emotion behind that subtlety, but he pulls back he's the anti-Nicolas Cage. Let's put it that way. Nicolas Cage does so much, whereas Pedro Pascal does so little, but he's got so much behind what he does, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you're talking about Disney Plus, you always got to talk about Marvel. Marvel properties permeate all of Disney Plus. And some people hated Ironheart. It was okay. There's things it could have done better, but it definitely did not deserve hatred. And so it was a unique show. And some people loved Daredevil when they brought it back. And Daredevil, this might be blasphemy to you, I thought it was fine. But the best thing that Marvel did on Disney Plus this year was Marvel Zombies. And that was a continuation of the What If animation style. And the Marvel Zombies, it's about 4 episodes. And I think there is going to be a second season now confirmed. But 4 episodes of like 40 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever. It's not that long. It's it's pretty much a movie at that point. And it's just a really good, like, I hate zombies. Yeah. And they do just such a good job with these characters that we love being in a situation that no one would ever dream of. And it doesn't pull its punches, and it has emotional weight, and there's some really powerful moments in it. And there's also a lot of the natural Marvel fun and humor and goofiness. So they do a good job of blending that. I think that was a top tier show.
I got to get back on the Marvel train. So I was watching the shows, like I watched, WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier and Loki and those ones. Past couple of years, I haven't really seen hardly anything. And it's hard, like when they're pumping out so much content. Once you get off the wheel, it's like, oh, where do I go back? I got to get back on. There's so much to catch up on. I saw bits and pieces of Thunderbolts, and by that I mean I went to the drive-in movie, and I fell asleep constantly, so I didn't really see it.
Well, and I was going to say, Thunderbolts is the best thing that they've done since the Spider-Man No Way Home.
I didn't fall asleep because it wasn't good. I fell asleep because I have a pathological thing where I fall asleep when I go to the movies.
That is a strange thing. Well, guess what? It's on Disney Plus. You can watch it.
Yeah.
I would highly suggest Thunderbolts. Like, Fantastic Four was good,
Yeah.
But Thunderbolts was really good, and this year was putting Marvel back on a good track because they didn't deserve for us to be watching their stuff religiously like we have been, to be honest.
Yeah. And just tell me, like, has in any Marvel property, have they ever gone back to White Vision? Who's yet?
They will next year in Vision Quest.
Okay, because that's like what we're gonna drop a character for now 5 years because WandaVision was 2021.
Well, Captain America, the Brave New World, brought back a character that they set up in the original Hulk movie from 2008. So 15 years later, we get it kind of served as both a sequel to Falcon and Winter Soldier show and The Incredible Hulk from 2008. And so it ends up being like, and both of those are mediocre Marvel properties, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But the sequel to both of them ends up being better than either of the originals. So I wouldn't say Brave New World is like, oh, it's so fantastic, but I thought it was still pretty good and better than some of the Marvel stuff in recent years.
Well, I will say I did watch Brave New World without falling asleep.
There you go. And that was all Giancarlo Esposito, right?
Oh yeah, I forgot he was in that.
Hey, real quick before we sail away from Disney Plus, I just wanted to bring up one other show because it got canceled and I'm sad. But I was a Goosebumps fan, and like I wasn't a religious reader of it. I knew enough about it. I read a lot more of the Choose Your Own Adventure than I did of like the narrative stories.
Yeah.
But Goosebumps, the first season and the second season on Disney Plus, this second season follows a completely different group of characters. But what they do is that in their 8 episodes or however many episodes they have, like each individual episode kind of draws from one of the books. So, excuse me. So one of them has like Monster Blood. Another one is the Monster Car. And another one is Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And so and another one is Don't Look in the Basement. And so it pulls like those different threads from those different books, but puts all of them together into an overall 8-episode arc. And so it does a really good job of balancing both. And so you get these callbacks, but then they make those callbacks fit in the new story that they're telling. And I'm like, that's really smart writing. And it's a shame that it only got 2 seasons because I actually was really digging what it was doing. And this season, I like the characters more than the first season that they did.
Are these at all connected to the movies?
Not specifically.
Okay.
There isn't like any characters from those movies.
Okay.
And I don't even know if it's going to be in the similar universe because Jack Black isn't in them at all.
Okay. Because actually, just this past weekend, I watched Goosebumps 2.
Well, there you go. This Goosebumps second season has David Schwimmer. So there you go.
I like David Schwimmer.
Yeah. Who doesn't? He's great.
Yeah.
All right, Brian. I'm going to spin the wheel of your mouth. Netflix, Apple TV, Paramount Plus, Peacock, Cable, Hulu, Prime Video, or HBO Max.
You could just say pick one. I'm curious because who still has cable? What do you have for that?
A great show, just one. It's called High Potential. Have you heard of it?
Actually, I have because Sabrina watches it and she tells me all the time, I got to watch the new High Potential. So if she were here, she'd be able to talk with you about High Potential.
It's a great show. It's a modern day Monk, pretty much. She's not OCD, but she has kind of that high functioning, High Potential, has that high functioning IQ of picking up things that other people don't. And then she has her own idiosyncrasies. She's a little bit more like, almost like hippie-ish, which, if we're talking about that, we can also talk about Poker Face, similar idea. And I just like these sorts of mystery of the week TV shows where you've got a character that's almost like superpowered, like Sherlock Holmes level intuition. That's why I liked House so much. That's why I like the Sherlock show on the BBC. I really enjoy these very competently smart individuals one-upping the people that they're chasing. And you never really got that as well, in my opinion, with some of the more grounded procedurals with like CSI and stuff. Because sure, they're smart, but they're not like this level of smart. And so I really like what they do with High Potential.
Okay.
So that's all I got for cable, though.
Like a good mystery, like you got to follow the action kind of show.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they don't have the same like thing where like going back to CSI where it's like every single episode, hey, here's the really unnecessary close up and CGI of the thing that they're talking about, but they do have some like fun visual cues of like, hey, this is what I'm gonna pitch, and then they have they kind of tell it in a unique visual style as she's saying the stuff sometimes, so helps you. It's a really good literary tactic, in my opinion, of how they showcase those things.
True.
If that makes sense. Hopefully
it does make sense.
I use the right wording.
I'm going to trust you. I'm trying my best to make this not just, like you said earlier, me saying, cool, I like it. Sounds good.
Yeah, before the show, I was like, this is the yearly episode where I get to brag about all the TV I watch, and Brian gets to say, that's cool, I need to check that out.
Yeah. I will say, like, so I said, a lot of these shows are on Apple TV Plus, which I haven't seen, which is the one that I don't have currently.
Yeah, there's some really good. Since you said Apple TV Plus, I'll have to go there. Yeah. Fine, you spun the wheel, and there, I'll just breeze past 3, because we talked previously about it before we got on here about Shrinking season 2, and it's an okay show. To me, it doesn't get the acclaim, to me, it gets more acclaim than I think it deserves, and I think part of that is Bill Lawrence. I won't go into why I don't like it. If you guys want to yell at me because you love Shrinking, that's fine. Jason Segel and Harrison Ford are great, but the construction of the characters I feel like is weak and feels disingenuous. There's a show I hate watch. Now, I like the first season of it, but now it's on the 4th season, and I have to finish these shows. So the morning show is on season 4, and I'm like, just be done already. Just finish.
You're talking about like the morning talk show?
No, it's the one that has Jennifer Aniston, Reese Witherspoon, and the first season had Steve Carell.
Okay.
It's written by Mindy Kaling.
Okay.
Billy Crudup's in it too. The first season I thought was really strong, and then it just fell off after the first season, and each season is even worse than the last.
That sounds good.
No, Brian. No, wrong.
I mean, it's hard because you say you don't like it, but the people you name, I like Reese Witherspoon and Jennifer Aniston and Steve Carell.
That's why I started watching it in the first place. But like the first season, like each season kind of picks apart some things from previous years, like real events. So like the first season is really like commentary on the Me Too movement. And so the opening pilot, Steve Carell, gets accused correctly of abusing a young lady. And so he gets fired from the talk show that him and Jennifer Aniston have been on for decades. I think about decades. And so then they have to scramble and they pull Reese Witherspoon and bring her into it. And so the first season is pretty well crafted. And then just each season, like the second season goes into pandemic and January 6th stuff. Third season is like an Elon Musk stand-in and technology and SpaceX things. And then this last season is like getting ready for Olympics, but there's like using AI for news programming and just different stuff. I'm like, you don't have good things to say about these things, I feel like.
So it's topical.
It is. And just not good, like not done well topical, you know.
Okay.
There's some that are good. This isn't, in my opinion.
Well, now I want to watch it simply because I hope that I like it and I can argue with you about it.
You won't.
Okay.
I feel like I can say with confidence, you won't. It's so self-grandializing, you know?
I feel like you know my taste enough that you're probably right.
You might like the first season. I think you'd like the first season. I think maybe you could tolerate the second season, but that's it.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like a love-hate thing with The Bear, which I'm still behind on. We'll be doing that episode about that in maybe a month and a half or so. Sometimes I hate The Bear, but I have to admit it's well done and it's a good show. There's times I don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's purposefully stressful. That's not. I mean, that's not completely what this is. Because morning show isn't like stressful. I want to come back to that because there's a couple of shows. We're going to talk about The Bear, and there's another show that's actually very similar energy to The Bear that I'll talk about in just a second. You know what? We're on Apple TV. I'm going to talk about it. There's a show called The Studio, and it is fantastic. It won so many Emmys. It is Seth Rogen is the studio head. There's there's cameos galore. One of the main characters of the season is Catherine Hahn. Another one is Catherine O'Hara. Another one is I think I brought this up to you, that the actor in real life, Ike. It's Marcus from Superstore, his brother.
So
in real
Ike
life.
Barinholtz.
Ike Barinholtz.
Yeah.
So those are some of the main, like, every episode, but there is so many cameos. There, all these guys got nominated for their little cameo appearances. Like Ron Howard and Martin Scorsese, directors, got nominated for acting for their cameo appearances. Anthony Mackie, he got nominated. Bryan Cranston, he got nominated. And so it's the frenetic energy of The Bear in every episode, but for different aspects of trying to put out these movies or how you deal with these movies. So like the very first episode is all about Seth Rogen, now that he's studio head, trying to figure out how to make prestige movies when the head of the studio above him, like his boss, is saying, or the head of the parent company, whatever, is like, we want to make a Jello movie. No, Kool-Aid movie that's gonna rival Barbie. Like, I want it to be like our Barbie. And so like the pitches that he gets are so like stupid and just like the garbage franchise appeal to the masses movies that he's like, I don't want us to make. And so it's him trying to scramble. How does he keep with his vision and not look like he's an idiot? And like, it's very, very panicky and it's very high energy. Like the soundtrack is like this jazz, like fast-paced tempo through all of the show, every episode. And so it's done really well and I like it a lot, but it's very cringe at times. It's very like, oh my gosh, can you make a good decision, can you get a win sort of watching.
Well, it's interesting you say like the whole thing about like, oh, I want to make a Kool-Aid movie, which, I mean, that sounds dumb, but you could make a good movie out of pretty much anything. There's so many examples, like Lego movie, like if 10 whatever years ago you wouldn't think that, but then all of a sudden it was a very high producing movie, and then like internet movies, like I really liked Ralph Breaks the Internet, or Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet, but the Emoji Movie was garbage.
Yeah, and it's so, and like that's the pitch of like the Kool-Aid one, is feeling more like Emoji Movie, and then they bring it back because it's episodic, and so there's some overlap in episodes, but for the most part, it's like a different story every single episode. Because they really want to play with like different genres and different ideas, and like they have like a kind of a Chinatown spoof episode. But then one of the episodes towards the end of the season is they're casting for the Kool-Aid movie, and it's actually getting good buzz, and the trailers are big, and they're like, oh, this is cool, and they get like Ice Cube for the voice of the Kool-Aid Man, and then they have to like get his Kool-Aid family, and then they're just like, they cast like Sandra Oh, and it's like, well, why do you have like. Then they're looking at like they're casting like, wait a second, we casted a black man as Kool-Aid Man. Is that racist? Like, wait, I don't think it's racist. No, it's not racist, right? And then they bring in like one of their guys who is black. He's like, no, I don't want to speak for all black people. It's like, I don't think this is racist, but it might be better. And then they like start recasting, like, well, maybe we need to have the black man married to a black woman in this movie. And so then they recast Mrs. Kool-Aid Man, and then everyone's black of the Kool-Aid family. And then all the white writers are like, we can't write this movie because we don't feel like we can write for black people. And like, we can't speak for them. And so then they have to quit. And then he has to go talk with Ice Cube, who's actually in this episode. And he goes like this recording studio, and he's just so awkward trying to pose the question. And Ice Cube's like, just ask, man. What are you trying to ask? And he's like, could this be perceived as racist. It's like, do you think that I don't know what racism is? Do you think that I don't understand? Like, he just kind of rips him a new one, and it's so funny and it's so well done to like mock the fear. Like, and like that's what they're lampooning in that one, like the fear of appearances and like how do I appear? And so each episode is something like that. Yeah.
That's the premise of an SNL skit that was, I think it's within the last 10 years, where have you seen that, where it's like they're promoting a sitcom and it's your typical, hey, it's mom and dad and two kids sitcom, and it sounds like every generic sitcom from the 2000s. But then it's like, but wait, after focus groups, we need to make it two moms instead, and we need to have the daughter, and like they change things and change things and change things. By the end, it's like a ridiculous, and it doesn't have any resemblance to the original show, and it sounds like exactly what you're talking about, just condensed into like a 2-minute SNL skit.
Yeah, and that's what works so well about this show is because like even sure they're not like 100% moral people because it's Hollywood, but they're also not jerks and they're not like awful people. So it's like their intentions are completely understandable and completely fine. And they just want to put out a good movie and they want it to be appealing to people and they want to have the right representation and for it not to, but like because of their fear of it, it just it like cascades into something bigger. And every episode is kind of that where it's something else where it's like, because they are so concerned about one specific aspect, it just snowballs into something bigger. And every episode is I feel like this is a great show. This came out of nowhere and deserved the Emmys that it won.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? It's not the number one show that was on Apple Plus this year.
What was that?
Severance, man.
I went to go watch Severance because I didn't know what one, because everyone was talking about it. I'm like, okay. I even said I'm going to watch Severance so I can talk about it. It's on Apple TV freaking Plus. I thought maybe it was on Peacock or something.
No, it's on Apple. That's what it's the new rebranding. HBO changed back to HBO Max. Apple Plus turned to Apple freaking TV Plus, according to your assessment. Severance. Go ahead.
Does it make any difference to keep changing the names of these things? I feel like if you like it, you like it regardless.
Yeah. I'm not going to question anything that David Zaslav and Warner Brothers do because I feel like they make a lot of stupid decisions. So this HBO Max and back to Max and back to HBO, that thing is just like a drop in the bucket compared to filming all of a Batgirl movie and then just shelving it so that for tax write-off, not even like selling it or pitching to another company because it would cost them more money to do that than just to kill it. Mm-hmm. Or to do the same thing with the Acme vs. Coyote movie coming out, the Looney Tunes one that finally actually did get picked up and is going to come to theaters. I'm really excited to see it. Did you hear anything about that?
I didn't, no.
So it's Will Forte is going to be a lawyer representing Wile E. Coyote in a class action lawsuit against Acme. And so it's like a Who Framed Roger Rabbit where there's the real like Looney Tunes alongside real live action actors.
Yeah.
And like the premise sounds great. And Will Forte and other members of the cast have been like, we want this movie to come out. We love this movie. We had so much fun. It's such a genius concept. So them talking it up and just the concept itself, I'm like, I really want to see this. So I'm going to make sure to see it in theaters to send a message that don't be stupid, Zaslav. Release better movies. Anyway, back to Severance season 2. Just a top tier television show. What if I'm ranking like my best shows of 2025? Andor is probably number 1, and Severance season 2 was like right behind. Those are like neck and neck because they're so good, and every week was just amazing. The world that they started in season 1, that there was plenty of question marks as season 1 ended. You know, you kind of get that lost feel of like, oh, there's all these question marks. But season 2 actually does a good job of answering enough questions instead of kicking the can down the road. So there are plenty of answers that you see in season 2. There's a little bit of some weird pacing because they dealt with a writer's strike. And so something happens early on. They're like, this is going to change everything. And then they just kind of don't address that until they slow roll it again after like this initial like, oh my gosh, this is a huge thing that happened, and then it gets slow rolled for the final 5 episodes or whatever. But just top tier acting, really good writing, and it's given me like one of my favorite actors of like that. I'm really excited. There it is. That I'm really excited to see stuff he's in. Tramell Tillman. He was, if you watch the most recent Mission Impossible movie.
No, I.
Okay, well, he is a fantastic actor, and he just does so good in this show as Mr. Milchek. Or as they call it.
That's my catchphrase. That sounds good. I'll have to check that out. No, like everyone universally, everyone says that Severance is good. And so I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah. And then there's a new show that as of the time of this recording, I haven't seen the full season yet because it's on a week-to-week episode. But it is the Better Call Saul team. Vince Gilligan with the star Rhea Seehorn. And returning more to it filmed in Albuquerque, and returning more to sci-fi roots. I'm not going to give much information about it because even when they're marketing it, they gave like no information.
Yeah,
but it is his classic like, let me show you something, and this scene's going to take about 7 minutes, and the entire 7 minutes like, what is happening? What's happening? Then you get to the end of the scene, like, oh, that's what that was for. The wonderful, like, showing and not telling. It's also a really unique, interesting premise. So far, it's good, and I just hope it stays that way. I trust these guys to make some good content. So,
yeah, everything you said. I mean, I obviously I love the Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul universe, and so yeah. But again, that means I'm gonna have to probably I need to get Apple TV Plus so I can watch these things. But then I'll be a year behind. Then next year, you're like, what did you watch? Well, I watched all the shows from 2025.
Well, hey, if you watch like Severance, we would definitely do an episode on that because Severance is so good. Okay. I'm up for you watch. I don't know if there's gonna be more of the studio. I would imagine there'd be a second season of the studio. It didn't specifically leave off on like a cliffhanger. It felt like this easily could be an anthology, like just a miniseries. But yet there's still room for more. And Pluribus is going to have more seasons. There's almost guaranteed. So it might be time to get Apple TV, bud.
Well, okay, here's the thing. I'll make a deal with you. Okay, I'll get Apple TV Plus and I'll watch these shows. And I think I actually will have more things to watch. And we can do a Severance episode and all that. But just be prepared that if I have Apple TV Plus, then next year, when we talk about the shows from 2026, I'm probably going to have to talk about the update of the Fraggle Rock reboot.
I knew you were going to bring up Fraggle Rock. I knew it.
Yeah, because I only saw the first season because I had it when it was on like 4 years ago, and then
And I'll give you more. Apple TV has kind of been killing it. Like there's other shows that people brag about, and there's that Mythic Quest I brought up before. They just had their final season this year too. I wasn't going to talk much about it, but it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia team, but like actors and writers and stuff.
Yeah.
But they're making a video game, and it's an MMORPG game, and so. Yeah. It's very insufferable characters, but there's still some really funny humor in it. So I enjoyed it, even though I don't typically like that type of you hate all the characters sort of show.
Gotcha. So is that all you have for Apple TV Plus?
That's it. That's all I've got for Apple TV Plus. So now we've got 6 more left. We got Netflix, Paramount Plus, Peacock, Prime Video, Hulu, or HBO Max.
So I think let's save Netflix for the end because I'll have the most to talk about for Netflix. Let's jump to Amazon Prime because I actually watched something the other day that we could talk about from Amazon Prime.
Do it. You start it because I've got one. I haven't even watched it. I was just going to bring up something.
Oh, well, the one I watched. Did you watch the John Candy documentary? That I Like Me.
Did. Yeah. I love John Candy.
Me too. And that documentary is it's sad and like it shows like what kind of person he was. Mm-hmm. And like the tragedy, like it starts out like, oh, his dad died when he was 5. That's a wild place to start.
Yeah.
And I know it was by the 40s, 50s, whenever, I'm not sure when he was born, but it's like, yeah, no one talks about it. Everything will be fine. Like, I feel like even then you have to know that's not normal. It shouldn't be normal.
Shove those feelings down. You don't care. You're fine.
Yeah. Feelings are like blood. They're supposed to be internal.
Yeah.
No,
I guess.
And one thing I didn't realize, so one of the interviewees was Macaulay Culkin, and he was saying, like, when you think of John Hughes movies from the 80s, you think of like, oh, Molly Ringwald or Emilio Estevez or any of those guys. So you should think of John Candy. He said he was in like what 15 or 18 of those movies.
Yeah,
he was like his go-to guy for those movies.
Yeah, and I think Macaulay had one of the best things to say. I think I liked a lot that Steve Martin had to say about him too.
Yeah,
but I liked what Macaulay had to talk about because he had a hard dad, and I believe it was an abusive dad. I don't know the levels of that abuse. I don't have that written down off the top of my head, but
yeah,
it was hard to have the father he did and also grow up in showbiz. And on the set of Uncle Buck, John Candy was the one who noticed that there was that was a not okay relationship going on.
Yeah.
And he was able to be a bit of a shelter for him. And that speaks to, and I knew that he was that sort of person. That speaks to how John was for the people around him. Almost a people pleaser to a fault, but still a very caring individual.
Yeah. And like the people pleaser, they said that he would go out to eat with friends and he would always pick up the bill every time. And they're like, he wasn't rich. He was making less money than everyone else was. And he still insisted. And that's just knowing, like, I've been at points where I'm like super broke, and it's like to be at that point and still insist on paying for everybody really says a lot about the character. Because if you're a billionaire and you pay for someone's meal, I mean, it's generous, but also you're not sweating it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Not to get religious on you guys, but that's a story in the Bible. There's a woman who gives 2 small like pennies pretty much, but that's all that she had to live on. And then there's these other rich guys that are giving so much money, and Jesus is watching this, and Jesus says to his disciples, like, who gave more? Obviously the woman who gave what she had to live on. She had nothing and gave it anyway, versus these guys who parted with just a little bit.
Yeah. And if you want a tearjerker as well, that is a very long intro by Dan Aykroyd, just like singing his praises for like 4 minutes straight. It seems like, man, it's a great documentary. If you like John Candy movies, which I think everybody does, check it out if you can on Amazon Prime.
And I didn't realize it was like his funeral was like one of 2 times in history that they shut down the LA freeway.
Yeah, it's like him and the Pope, I think they said, or no, him, the Pope, and the President. Yeah, it was him, the Pope, and JFK. That's good company to be in.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
man. It's I will be honest. I think that the director Colin Hanks really wanted to use so much of the stuff that he had that he kind of let the pacing of the documentary wasn't as good as I kind of wanted it to be. I think that in the hands of a better director, to be honest, it could have been a better documentary. But I'm not going to hate too much on getting to hear stories about John Candy, one of the people that I miss the most of all celebrities who have died.
Yeah, and I mean, we were 6 when he died, so we probably didn't even get to see much of his stuff till we were a little bit older.
Yeah, I mean, I did. I loved my parents loved him too. So I didn't. I think I saw Planes, Trains, and Automobiles still when I was in single digits, just fast forwarded through one specific scene. But I saw Cool Runnings. I saw Uncle Buck. I saw obviously Home Alone. So I saw him in plenty.
I suppose I saw Cool Runnings and Home Alone. So
yeah, Cool Runnings. Where it's at, man. That's my favorite sports movie. Switching gears, just last thing on Prime Video. I was looking and I didn't see too much. I couldn't remember what Prime had put out this year. And I know that it hasn't come out yet. That's why I can't talk too much about it. But still in December, of 2025, they had Fallout Season 2. And Fallout Season 1 was really good. I liked it a lot. And so I never played the games, so I don't have that to hold it, the comparison to. Yeah. But I'm really interested to see how Fallout 2 does. So I felt like I needed to include that because you're probably like, why aren't you talking about this big thing that just came out? Well, we haven't seen it out yet. So sorry, y'all.
Yeah. And when you said switching gears, my mind went, is he going to talk about that Tim Allen show? But that's shifting gears, and I haven't seen it because, I don't know. I feel like it's just, you know what you get.
Yeah. If you've seen one Tim Allen show, you've seen them all. You're good. All right. I didn't have much with that, so let's move on to Netflix, HBO Max, Hulu, Paramount Plus, or Peacock.
Let's do Peacock.
Peacock. Well, we have an episode or a TV show that we are going to be talking about. I don't think you've seen it yet, Brian, but the spiritual successor to The Office, called The Paper, came out on Peacock this last year, and it was drumroll. Fine.
That's kind of what I get from it.
Yeah, it's like they still don't quite have the characters, but there's enough charm there to have you coming back for more. I'd watch a second season of it, but there's definitely not must-see TV like how The Office was at its peak, or even at its mid-season 2.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. The Office season 1 is also fine. I mean, we have some people who would think that's blasphemy, and there are some great moments in season 1 of The Office, but like you said, I think mid-season 2 and into season 3 is when it gets its stride. So I'm definitely going to watch it. I think we'll probably do an episode on it in 2026. But I'm open to it getting, and I'm going off the reviews that I've heard that it's fine. I'm open to it improving, and it could, who knows, maybe it'll turn into an amazing classic like The Office. Maybe not. We'll see.
Yeah. Peacock didn't have a ton of stuff that really wet my whistle this year either. I've started getting into The Traitors now, the US version, and they have plenty of reality TV on Paramount or on Peacock. I haven't gotten to season 3, and that was the new season from this year. But I'm just finishing up season 2. So I like The Traitors. I think that's a fun show. It's kind of like half parts The Mole, half part Survivor, and with a little bit of Big Brother thrown in. Okay. So it's very derivative of reality shows that have come before it, and then you cover all of that with a game of Mafia. you put all of that inside a game of Mafia. That's what you got in The Traitors. It's good enough to watch. It's not like this is the best reality show I've seen, but they do well of taking all these tiny little parts and putting this Frankenstein together, and it actually is a pretty serviceable show. So I've enjoyed it. It has some good drama. Sometimes you're watching, you're like, are you guys really that stupid? Mm-hmm. Season 2, there's a contingency of people that are like, I cannot believe you are being duped this badly.
Well, is it a situation where like we as the audience know everything? So so I mean, of course you go into it knowing it and you see all the clues and you're like, well, of course it's obvious. But if you were blind, it might not be so obvious to you.
Yeah. There's like season 2 kind of is like two camps of people, and they all like they're all together in one, but there's kind of two different factions, and one faction has no traitors in it, and they keep like finding traitors and voting these traitors out. But then this other faction that has the traitors in it, they're all almost like an alliance where they're just like, oh, people in this other faction are traitors. And like, no, they're the ones that are very clearly voting out the real traitors. And I don't know how you can possibly think that they're bad guys. I don't get how you can do the mental gymnastics in your mind to not see that they are the ones that are right. So
yeah,
if you watch that, I think you'd agree. You'd be like, yeah, I get it.
Mm.
I'll talk very briefly. This was also a year. Finally, we are getting good content that is based off of video games. For the longest times, like you put a video game into any other sort of medium and it sucks. But now we're finally getting good content. And Twisted Metal Season 2 was a big step up from Twisted Metal Season 1. Because if you're a fan of the games, The games are like battle royale type games. You throw all these cars in the middle of an arena, and they fight to one car getting all the cars getting blown up except for one. And so it's hard to do that as a TV show. So they just kind of focus on like the general wasteland of the apocalypse in the first season. But the second season, they actually move into doing like the Twisted Metal games hosted by, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting his name. Did you ever play him? Because there's like the guy who always puts them together. And
I never played that. I have like 6 games I've played.
What? How dare you?
It wasn't Ratchet and Clank?
Calypso, that's who it is.
Yes.
No, so that they introduced Calypso, who in the games is the one who organizes kind of like the Mortal Kombat tournament. You know, like you get all the cars together and then you make them compete. And he has power to grant wishes. And so this one does lean into that supernatural side of it. And you have Calypso in it, and it's very intriguing. It's much more intriguing than the first season was. So I was actually hooked a lot more. And this is gonna be a weird stance though. This is one of 2 shows I have on my list that has an orgy scene. No, one of 3 shows.
Oh.
So I just warning to anyone. This one is the most clothed. It's the most clothed orgy scene of the 3, if that helps. I don't know why that was popular in 2025, but here we are. And I'm totally comfortable talking about it.
I can tell you hate the words that are coming out of your mouth right now.
I'm like, I should give a warning. We talked about some Jesus stuff already, so there's not a blanket seal of approval of like, yeah, all of this is good and good for your soul. All right, well, let's move on to something a little bit more appropriate. Well, not that much more appropriate because they throw the F-bomb around like nobody's business. But we talked about High Potential, and so a different type of show of that is Poker Face Season 2. I talked about that with you before. Natasha Lyonne this is Rian Johnson directing and writing these, and he's the guy who does the Knives Out series. He did Knives Out and then the most recent Wake Up Dead Man and Glass Onion. And so he is continuing his murder mystery style, and he does such a good job with it because every episode is just a unique murder and a unique way of seeing this thing. But it's different where instead of you're trying to figure out who did it, every single episode, the cold open is the murder. And so you see exactly how it does it. And then after that intro of knowing who the murderer is and who was murdered, then the show backs up in time and it jumps to the perspective of our quote unquote detective, Natasha Lyonne.
Okay.
And you follow her as she discovers how this person did it or the details of this murder. And she has this unique ability that she can always tell when someone's lying. And so that's the hook of it. And it's so well done. Every single episode is completely different characters. And so they're able to just jam pack it with celebrities for the whole season. And so you've got all these celebrities in this one episode, but then they're not in any other episode. And you go to this next episode, all these celebrities, and you go, every single episode has like multiple celebrities in it.
So basically we know who did it and we're watching them figure it out.
Yep.
It kind of sounds like, and I haven't watched a show in a while, but, I used to watch a bunch of Criminal Minds, and that's kind of like half the time it would be like that. We'd know, and then they'd figure it out, and then there would be other episodes where we find out with them. And I don't know which way I would prefer.
Yeah, it's a unique way of doing it because like if you've liked murder mysteries, there is a little bit of like honestly, Agatha Christie ruined it for us. She was such a good, prolific murder mystery author that she did every single trope before it was a trope, and she thought it came at it from all the different angles. Oh, did the inspector do it? Okay, the inspector did it. Oh, did everyone do it? Okay, everyone did it. Oh, did no one do it? Okay, no one did it. And this like oh, it was the jilted lover. Oh, it was the priest that would never hurt a fly. Oh, it was the person that you knew wasn't a possible suspect because they were dead, and then they came back to life and they actually weren't dead at all. And so she toyed with all these different ideas to keep you guessing. And so Rian Johnson's like, well, forget that. I'm gonna just do my own style, and I won't keep you guessing, and I'm gonna instead make the murders very interesting and smartly done.
Yeah. It sounds good. I mean, I like a good mystery. I mean, because I am terrible at predicting what's going to happen, and which like Sabrina is typically really good at that. She's like, "Oh yeah, I figured this out." It just annoys me. So like, I can't wait to watch Lost with her to see how much she's gonna guess ahead of time.
And sometimes it's annoying where it's like you almost don't want to figure out sometimes, and your brain might be active, and you figure it out, and you'll be like, "Oh, that better not be it." And then you watch it play out, and you're like, "Okay, that was it." And so the moment doesn't mean as much. I remember, like this isn't a brag about something, but there's a movie called Arrival that people love, and it actually has a little bit of a twist in it. And that might be a spoiler to even say that there's a twist, but it has a little bit of a twist in it. And not even knowing there's a twist in the first act, I'm like, I wonder if this is the case. And then it gets to that. I'm like, yep, it is. I knew it. And I kind of ruined the movie for myself. It wasn't a bad movie by any means at that point, but people were like, oh, I knew that was so great. I didn't see it coming. I'm like, I did. And it made it not as cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go and move on. We got 4 left. We've got, let's try and get these. We've been talking for a little bit. And so, we've got the biggies like Netflix, HBO Max, and Hulu, and then we've got a smallie. So I'm going to choose for you, and I'm going to talk about really quick Paramount Plus.
Okay.
And I've talked about Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. This had its, I believe it's either its 3rd or 4th season. I think it's its 4th season this year. And a lot of Star Trek fans thought that this season kind of went a little downhill. It lost a little bit of what made it good because Star Trek, even the old ones, they had their cheesy, silly episodes, but they also had a season of 20 some episodes. And so, yeah, there'd be like every season would have like 2 or 3 episodes. You're like, that was a little silly. That was a little cheesy. But because there's 20 some episodes, you can get away with one that's really silly. This season, they would go from like one very serious episode to one rather silly episode. Like one of them was a body swap episode, so Spock and someone else like swapped bodies in it. And like last season, the season before that, they had like a musical episode where like there's a gravitational something that was causing all of them to appear to be singing. And so they have like these chitsy episodes, but because there's only like 6 or 8 episodes in a season, it's like then they end up being half the season. I didn't have as much of a problem with it. It still, I think, was a weaker season than other ones, but that was new this year. And then one thing that you'd be interested, I don't know if you watched it. Did you watch the 30th anniversary reunion special for Everybody Loves Raymond?
Oh, I did. Month? Yes. That's another thing I can talk about. I think it was done very well because like one thing they say right away from the beginning, Ray Romano was like, this isn't a reboot. He said said it very nicely. He said, we're missing 3 family members, so like a reboot would never happen, which I mean, I think it's a given, especially with Frank and Marie. Not to disrespect Sawyer Sweden, who passed away. He was the son, but the kids were not a huge part of the show overall.
Yep.
But that dynamic of Frank and Marie, you can't have that show without it. And I thought they did a great job. Like every character had their moment. Every cast member had their moment to like show their clips and to have their best memories. And then they showed obviously a lot of Frank and Marie clips. And it just reminded me how good that show was. I haven't watched it in a little bit, but I mean, it's one of those shows I've watched all the way through a couple times. And it's one of the last great classic family sitcoms, I think.
Yeah, Angie and I are like, when we're done with some of the stuff we're watching, we should kind of go back to that. And then we can even invite our kids to watch it with us.
Yeah.
And they highlighted this in the episode where they talked about the reason why it was so successful is because everyone has a degree of that in their family.
Yes.
It might not be those exact things, but they would draw their episode ideas from the writers, like, okay, who had a fight with their wife this week, or who had a weird thing your parents did last week. They'd be pulling those different stories. So like they highlighted, hey, there was this one writer, or maybe it was a showrunner who taped over at their wedding. And actually, he taped over with an episode of Everybody Loves Raymond. So they changed that to like, oh, is Ray taped over their wedding video with the Super Bowl? And so they adapted it for the show. And like, this is how these characters would react to this ridiculous situation. Then they'd blow it up because on TV, you need it to be a bigger thing than the fights that we typically have, right?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Do you have any moments that could have been a Raymond episode?
Oh, I'm sure there are, and it's really funny that you say that because we kind of had this running gag between my wife and myself, and we don't write these down. We probably should, but like we'll have something happen. We'll be like, "Oh, that's so funny." We're like laughing together, and then we're like, "That should be on our sitcom." Like we like act like we're gonna have our own sitcom someday that's based off of our relationship and our behaviors, and so we keep highlighting these little moments, and I wish that I had something to pull out of my pocket and be like, "Here it is," instead of just the general. Idea. All right. Yeah, I didn't think of any good ones. I'm sorry. But we can move on because we got 3 and we got the biggies left. Netflix, HBO Max, and Hulu. What do you got? Which one?
Let's jump to Hulu.
Hulu. So I won't talk much about The Bear, but Bear season 4 did come out, and that was better than season 3, and we'll have an episode soon about The Bear season 4. I think we're doing season 3 and 4. Is that?
Yep. Wait. Season, because the last time we talked about 1 and 2, this time we'll talk about 3 and 4.
Yep. I'll briefly bring up one that I know you didn't see that was really intriguing to me. I love the original Alien movie from the 70s, and on Hulu there is Alien Earth, and it is definitely grotesque, definitely horror-y from the similar vibes from the 70s. A lot of Alien fans don't like what it did to the lore of the Alien universe. There was some choices that they made that were unique and different ideas. I thought it did well. I thought it was that nice blend of like really creepy aliens, some new monsters as well, and just a really unique premise. And I thought all of it worked together really well, but I do understand why people had their complaints. So if you watched it and you're like, oh, I hated it, let me know. If you didn't watch it, but you're like, I love Alien, go watch it because there's a 50-50 chance you'll love it. You might hate it, though, because of the changes they make. I don't know. But I thought it was interesting. It captivated me every week.
And I don't know. I tend to not like a lot of like the super grotesque stuff, but I mean, you can't really go wrong with the Alien franchise.
Yeah. Speaking of things you do like, though, you like Dan Fogelman, who did This Is Us, was showrunner. This Is Us, did a number of things too. You also like Sterling K. Brown, and so a show called Paradise debuted this year.
I've heard about that.
With him as a showrunner and Sterling K. Brown leading the charge on it. It was a pretty good idea. I won't give you more to it too, because this is one of those shows where it's like, the more I talk about it, the more I'd spoil. So it is a mystery. James Marsden is the president, and Sterling K. Brown is a Secret Service agent. And the president dies one evening, and Sterling K. Brown ends up being like a prime suspect of it, but also is also trying to figure it out on his own. It's not like he goes on the run or anything, but there is that murder mystery element to it. But there's a lot more going on, and it's like This Is Us in terms of, you know, you have the main stuff happening, but in also similar Lost fashion, then it'll do some flashbacks to before the murder or whatever. So James Marsden has more agency in the show than just to be the murder victim in scene one. So you get to see kind of all these different characters, some of their backstories, some things pulling back the layers, and like, oh, that's what's going on. So it was a unique way to tell that story, and I thought it was interesting. I think you might like it.
Okay, it sounds interesting. I do like those people. I mean, I don't know what else Dan Fogelman did besides This Is Us, but Sterling K. Brown, it really is a good actor, and he carried a lot of This Is Us. So I would imagine that he carried a lot of this show too.
Yeah, he does. I think he might have gotten an Emmy nomination for it, not an award, but I think he got an Emmy nomination. But don't quote me. Speaking of murder, and this will be another brief one because I've talked about it before, and it's in its 5th season, but Only Murders in the Building, still going strong. Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez, plus just a wonderful cast of side characters. To me, I think this was their best season. So if you've watched Only Murders in the Building, 1 or 2 seasons, 5, I feel like is really good. I like 5 and 4. I think 2 might be its weakest. So if you like stopped on 2, come back to it because it gets better, in my opinion, after that. So
I gotta get around to watching the show. I gotta write down a list because like I've been saying I'm gonna watch the show for like the past 3 times. You talk about the show every time we do one of these, and I'm like, oh yeah, I meant to watch that.
it's really good talent in it. There are some seasons that's like for the talent that's involved. I'm surprised the season isn't a little bit better than this. But season 5 was peak, was really good.
Okay, and they're still going.
Yep. They this last season, every single season, like you get to the end, like, oh, everything's solved, and right before the season finale, like, oh wait, by the way, this person got murdered too. And then it's like, okay, well, you're setting up for next season, so then we'll see who did it then. So
yeah.
And then the final thing on Hulu was a show that had no business being as funny as it was. It's a show called Chad Powers, and it's got Glenn Campbell in it, and it's done by like the Manning brothers, who Peyton Manning and Eli Manning are both very prolific quarterbacks who have won Super Bowls, and they produced this show where Glenn Powell's character in college blows it in this big bowl game and has this huge meltdown, and he becomes like this persona non grata for a while, for many years. And kind of like this walking punchline. And he could have gone to the NFL, but now because of some stuff that happened, no one wants him. And so years later, then he finally kind of he gets this idea. He pulls a Mrs. Doubtfire and puts some makeup on for like these open tryouts that a college is having. And so he goes into these tryouts as a completely different person named Chad Powers. And it's what makes this show so funny is because Glenn Powell's character's like improv ability is really, really bad. So he makes all these really stupid choices in character that then everyone around him just thinks that that's this Chad Powers guy. Like he's this very special, socially awkward sort of person. And they're all like, he's a good quarterback, but how do I live with someone who's this? He's like Forrest Gump on steroids sort of choices he makes.
I gotta admit, this sounds like you're describing a Disney Channel movie.
It's really funny. I don't know what to tell you. It's hilarious.
Okay. Like, well, I mean, some of them
has the chops for because
well,
the absurd humor of it is so out of left field that you're like, it's genius absurdity. I guess that's all I can say. All right. Well, I'll move on to HBO Max. That's all I got for Hulu. Did you have anything for Hulu before I move on?
Nope. And this is probably isn't this the last year we'll be talking about Hulu? Isn't it merging with Disney Plus next year?
It theoretically already has, but I don't know when like it's going to be finally just one actual site instead of 2 that you can go to. So
well, because I have the Disney Plus and Hulu bundle, but like when I go on Disney Plus, it still says like you have this included in your Hulu bundle. So I think eventually they'll just get rid of that and like you just have it all.
Yeah, exactly. Someday it will. I don't know when that will be though. HBO Max, I won't go long on this one. We had the second season of Last of Us, which is a little worse than the first season of it, and it is it's the storyline of Last of Us 2 for video games, but broken into 2 seasons. So there's going to be one more season. I don't know if they're going to build some more on the other one. It's fine. It wasn't as good as the first, but it's all right.
Well, it's surprising me that they're making another one. I haven't seen this one, but I have heard. I just to save listeners, I have heard the big spoiler about it.
I actually hadn't, so I went into it blind, and when that happened, I'm like, "Oh, really?"
Yeah, I've heard that, so I'm surprised that they're making a 3rd season.
Yep. Yeah, it's okay. Same with White Lotus season 3. I know some people just love White Lotus, and it's not quite my bag. It's not bad, but it's not as good as it could be, and it's a very sexual show. There is an orgy incest plot line. That's all I'm gonna say. Of like, okay,
I was gonna say, is this your is this like one of your orgy shows?
This is one of them. Yep.
Yeah.
The other one is Peacemaker 2, which is like, that one was above and beyond. There's like 30 extras that were naked that they got for this scene, and John Cena's in full clothes, just because it's like a scene. It's early on. It's the first episode, and John Cena's just like depressed. He's like, maybe this will solve my problems, and everyone's just dry humping around him, and he's just sitting there sad in his clothes. Like, how do you know 30 people that would be up for this and just gonna come over to your mobile home and just hang out and do this? But apart from that, apart from that, fun time, overall, I thought the season was better than the first season, and I really liked some of the choices they made, and especially in like the last couple episodes, there was some really cool stuff that they did. And I have a lot more hope for the DC universe in James Gunn's hands after watching Superman. Did you see Superman this summer?
I've never been a big Superman guy in general, so I've seen very little Superman media.
I haven't been too much either, even though I've seen plenty. He was always like, because I'm not a big like Boy Scout type character. Because Boy Scout characters are hard to do, but James Gunn actually really nails the dynamic of how Superman as a Boy Scout is a very compelling character.
Okay,
and it's not as good as Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
but there's a lot of potential for the sequels to be that good. It lays a lot of really good groundwork, and there's plenty to love about the Superman movie from this summer. So I just think they're going to get better and better. But I would give it like a solid 7.5 out of 10. Worth a watch.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So I liked it overall, but the one thing that I really wanted to talk about in HBO Max that just caught me completely by surprise, and that's someone that we haven't talked too much about. You know who Tim Robinson is from I Think You Should Leave?
Oh, yeah.
He has such a strange sense of humor, and he's becoming really like more and more into this zeitgeist. Well, guess what? HBO Max gave him creative control of his show where he's writing and he's starring as this character who has this accident at the office where he sits down in a chair in this big presentation in front of everyone, and this chair breaks in front of all of them, and he feels like an idiot. And then he blames the chair, and he thinks that there's some sort of conspiracy going on because he can't get a hold of anyone behind the company that built this chair. And then guess what? He actually starts uncovering that there's something weird going on behind the scenes with this chair company. And I haven't completely finished it yet. All the episodes have now posted, and I haven't quite got to the last episode, but it's really unusual it's such a strange thing because it starts off where you think it's Tim Robinson and he's weird and he's crazy and all these people are sane, but no, he actually ends up being more of the sane one than anyone else in this universe, and everyone's crazy. A guy comes up to him at work and says, whatever his character's name, and I'll just say it's Tim. It's like, Tim, morale's been pretty low around work. I think tomorrow I'm gonna come in dressed as a chicken. And it's like, no, don't do that. It's like, who comes up with these lines? And so it's very Tim Robinson-y.
It sounds like that episode of Community when Chang is trying to make up is a security guard. He's trying to uncover a conspiracy that doesn't exist, but in this case he finds one that does exist.
Yeah, and I don't know if for sure this conspiracy exists or if it's like this coincidence. They do a really good job of like, well, he seems crazy at first, but then maybe he actually is onto something. It's so hard to describe this show because it really is absurd, but yet it's a grounded absurdity, and I've never seen anything quite like it.
Mm-hmm. That I like his stuff, so I'm gonna have to check my caption. I have to check. I'm trying not to say it. I will possibly view it. Is that better?
That's better. We need to have a counter on here next year. Just ding ding every single time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to Netflix because you've got some to talk about. There's so much stuff on Netflix that I ended up watching. Yeah. Like, I don't know if you watched the 4 seasons where like Tina Fey and Will Forte and all that. That was apparently like a movie with Alan Alda back in the 70s, and then they redid it as a miniseries, or not a miniseries. Yeah, it was a miniseries for 8 episodes, and it's like this group of friends. Oh, Steve Carell's in it too. This group of friends who like you see them at different points in a year, and so you meet them in spring, and there's 2 episodes in spring, and then it jumps to them in summer. There's 2 episodes in summer, and it jumps to them in fall, and it ends up being actually a pretty good good show. It's an easy watch, and I enjoyed it.
Nice. I like that cast a lot. I'm surprised it didn't get on my radar more.
Yeah, Coleman Domingo as well, and he's a guy that's up and coming in terms of like really quality work.
Yeah. Well, one thing obviously that we don't want to talk a bunch about because we did a whole episode on it was Squid Game seasons 2 and 3.
Yep.
And it'll be interesting to see. I haven't heard anything about when the new American version's coming out. Is that this year?
I think it is. I'm currently watching through because at the end of the year, they also had their own reality show where they did their own Squid Game, but with real competition. And obviously not people actually dying.
Yeah.
They have like the blood packs in their shirts or whatever. So like when you're eliminated, then they just pop the pack, and then the reality show contestant is supposed to lay down like they're dead to get the shot. But it's actually really well done. It's a good reality show, and it's based in these Squid Game games. So I've enjoyed that. This was the second season of doing that. I actually almost like those better than the Squid Game show because I really, really hate how pointless the detective storyline was in all 3 seasons.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, you said this originally, and I agree. It's basically 2 seasons.
Yeah.
But there was potential there to make that a really good story. They just didn't.
I mean, what? That's his older brother, right? So there's supposed to be, that should come to a head. It's like, Korea, do you not understand how to do emotional fulfillment for your characters? Because what you did, that wasn't it.
No. The whole time, they look at each other from 20 feet away. It's why? And then leaves.
I'm glad that I got all of my friends on the boat to come with me, and they all ended up dying on this adventure just so I could look at you for 20 seconds.
Yeah. And the cop got the baby. Why did the cop get the baby?
He called dibs.
He didn't know about the baby. He didn't care about the baby. He didn't have a storyline about wanting a baby.
Not that was... there was a lot of subtext. Every time he said something, he would always end it with the word baby. I don't know if you noticed that. Like, I'm going to get you, baby, you know?
I mean, it's not like we had another character who was dealing with the loss of her daughter, who also lived, who could have used a baby, and that could have come full circle. Oh, wait, there was a character like that who didn't get the baby, who should have. I'm talking about Guard 11. Should have gotten the baby.
No way. Well, I mean, she also is a murderer, so...
Yeah, but semantics.
Semantics. I'll just again, this is I look at what I watch. I watch this TV. I watch this miniseries called Sirens. We watched that in Costa Rica. My wife and I we watched through that when it came out, and that was okay. We watched the second season of Nobody Wants This that came out at the end of the year with Adrian Brody and Kristen Bell, and that was also okay. We watched. We watched Wednesday season 2. Not we. I watched Wednesday season 2. Did you watch any of Wednesday season 2?
I totally forgot there was a season 2.
Hey, guess how it was?
Okay.
It was okay. I had the same complaints about Wednesday season 2 as I did about season 1. Is Addams Family isn't that on the nose with its supernatural things. It's like, if you want it to be Addams Family, make it Addams Family. If you want it to be like this is the supernatural school of the monsters, make it that. I felt like it was kind of cheating and disingenuous to the characters, but the story itself was decently solid. This season was just a little bit worse than the first season, but it still was fine television. Mm-hmm. But what was good was the 7th season of Black Mirror. And this year, Brian and I are going to watch one of the episodes from that season, and we're going to talk about it. And so one of the episodes that was the best was the Chris O'Dowd and Rashida Jones one, and we're going to talk about that one.
I'm excited because I like both of those guys, and guy and girl. And it's a show that a lot of people have said is great. I'm just bad at watching new things anymore.
Yeah. And I mean, it's also one of those shows where it's like watching a movie that if you're like, hey, I've got like an hour and a half, I can go flip on to an episode of Black Mirror and I can pick one at random and it's going to work because there's only one episode that was in this season. One episode in this season ends up actually being a sequel to a previous episode, but every other episode stands on its own and needs no setup from previous episodes.
It sounds good. So I like the anthology because it's hard. It's easier to catch. Obviously, easier to jump in. You don't have to worry about the continuity.
Yep. And I always like to bring up shows then that you have all the pieces that you would like, but you've never watched it. Like, let's say a Mike Schur show starring Ted Danson also has Stephanie Beatriz, and this season had Mary Steenburgen in it, and who else? I thought there was another person involved.
That what's it called? The Inside Man?
Man on the Inside, yeah.
Man on the Inside.
Season 2. I haven't completely finished it. There's another one I haven't completely finished. I like season 1. I like season 2. It was better than a lot of the other shows I don't want to say it was fine because it's good, but there's potential for it to be better than it was. I still like it, but as of now, it's not like, oh, this is must-watch TV. It's just good because the sum of its parts are good. And Ted Danson is really fantastic at this kind of a role. So without him, the show would kind of fall apart a little.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I love Ted Danson and everything. So I'm definitely, I'm going to make next time we talk, ask if I've made a list yet.
Yeah. This is the like nice, kind version of his Michael character, where like there's some of the nerdiness that he has of that, and the thing, like, Ted Danson does this. Yeah. He gets really excited about really ordinary things.
Yes,
and he carries that from that character to this character, and he does that well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
All right, final thing to talk about is
the big Stranger Thing. Well, I was gonna say, real quick before that, I also watched the Biggest Loser documentary, and basically it just shows how that show was kind of crappy behind the scenes, and a lot of the people were not very nice in real life.
I watched the Biggest Loser documentary as well, but I call them home movies. But I'm going to put that on the best of list, and I'm going to make sure it's in there, and then we can all groan together. And then people who listen to it be like, really? This was the best of? This is your standard?
It's funny, on the last episode's best of that I actually just edited before we recorded this, one of the clips is seriously you going, making a dumb joke and then laughing yourself. Okay, moving on. And it's like a 5-second clip, but I'm like, that's too funny not to put in there out of context.
Yeah.
But yeah, the big
no one else is going to laugh.
But yeah, the big one you're talking about is Stranger Things. So as you're listening to this, listeners, I believe the entire season to the finale will already be out, and I will most likely have seen it. Who knows if Matt will have seen it that quickly, because right now as we're recording, only part 1, the first 4 episodes are out. I've watched all 4. Matt, you said you only watched 1.
Yeah, and I'll probably watch another one tonight.
Okay. I really liked it a lot. I'm trying to be very careful with my words, especially for Matt, basically, because by the time you guys are listening to this, it'll be out. I feel like it's going to be better about answering mysteries that have been there since the very, very beginning. They're going back to the beginning, and I think I like that. It seems like they have a plan going on where it's going to make sense once we see the final picture. And on a character level, we're seeing a lot of character pairings that we haven't really seen much before, which I really like.
Yeah. In the first episode, to not give stuff away still, because I mean, we also want to be kind to you guys. It hasn't been out for more than a month.
We'll do an episode about it, and that's where we'll get all of our spoilers out in that. But go ahead.
Yeah. Even after the first episode, some of the choices they're making with Robin, and like the Robin and Steve, they're together, is like, that's them working together is always top notch.
Yes.
And then like separating Dustin from them because Dustin's still dealing with his remorse of Eddie. That's going to be interesting because Dustin has never been that side of that character. He's always been a bit of the lovable goofball.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we're going to get too much of that this season. Maybe he'll come back into it, but after the first episode, I don't think we're going to get all that much from him in that way.
Robin is one of my favorite characters. I feel like she's going to be grating on some people, but she has a lot of good moments in the season. She a lot of more pairings. Like I don't know if before this season if her and Joyce ever spoke to each other, but they speak to each other. Like Murray and Dustin interact. I don't think they ever interacted, you know?
I've always liked Murray. Murray's so much fun. That actor, and I forget his name, that actor.
Brett Gelman, yeah.
He is so funny.
Yeah. And even think about, I think this was in the first episode, there's a little bit more Steve and Jonathan rivalry.
Yep.
And you realize they've barely spoken and been around each other since season 1. A couple of the group shots here and there, they've been in the same place, but they haven't really interacted. And then season 4, Jonathan was away in California, so really, it's kind of like the successor to season 1 because they were at odds then, and they're kind of at odds now.
Yeah, they had. I think they realized they had a little bit, or they've drained the well of the Steve Dustin babysitting relationship.
Yeah.
And they need to put Steve back with people his own age, even though Dustin's not too far away from him in age now.
Yeah.
But to put him back on that scale with him and Jonathan. Because I noticed that with that first episode right away, too.
Yeah.
I was like, they're going to do more with these two together.
Yep. And so two more things here is, one, okay, Holly Wheeler is too old. Okay, the little sister of Nancy and Mike. Okay, she is supposed to be 7. Okay, the show has been it's 5 years, like from 1983 to 1987. She's supposed to be in age order for the seasons 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In season 4, Nancy said, "There's a 6-year-old in the house. I know where I keep my guns." And they have a new actress, and the actress is great. She's good in the role, but she's like 14.
Well, that's par for the course because we got 35-year-olds playing 17-year-olds. So,
yeah. And then there's a new character, Derek, and he's a very interesting character. He gets a lot of the one-liners that are popular. Matt hasn't seen much of him yet, and I am very interested to see Matt's reactions because I think you're going to hate Derek, and I think I'm going to love you hating Derek.
Well, now I'm going to love Derek just to spite you. Oh, This Derek, he's so great.
I wish I could say more because it's like I'm not too worried about the listeners a little bit because by the time this comes out, it'll be old news, but I don't want to spoil things for Matt. So
yeah, to be fair, Stranger Things is one of those shows that for its fan base, if they like it, they're watching it right away. And if they don't like it, then they're not watching it, and we don't have to worry about spoiling it anyway.
I've already watched all 4 episodes twice.
Okay, all right, man.
Normally you're the one who has time to watch all the shows.
Yeah, you have time to watch Stranger Things twice. You have time to watch through the studio once. Or what's another show that has Chad Powers once?
Okay, well, maybe I will. We'll see.
Maybe
I'm not going to promise. Like last year I overpromised. I'm like, I'm going to watch a lot of things.
You overpromised. Even one was an overpromise for you. So,
hey, I watched the John Candy documentary and the Everybody Loves Raymond reunion.
Technically, the documentary is a movie, and the reunion is a 1-episode thing. It still counts as TV, but it's a 1-episode thing. Come on, man.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move on to trivia so I can stop being disappointed in you. Here, real quick, before I actually get to trivia. So I told you, like, my tops for the year was Severance easily, and then Andor really close. No, other way around. Andor easily, and then Severance just right. Maybe it's not so easily. Andor, then Severance, and then maybe the studio might be third. I don't know. But what would you say is your top 1 or 2?
This might make you sound basic, but I'm just loving Stranger Things, so that's probably going to be mine.
Yeah, I figured you'd say that with watching it 4 times or twice or whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I got to get you hooked on some other things. So I'm going to be like, we're going to do an episode about Severance, whether you like it or not. And then you'll be like, fine, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, I hope that you guys can convince Brian to get Apple TV because it's great. And even though it's past Christmas is coming up for us. He can just buy it for himself for Christmas present. Happy Christmas to you, man. All right. Well, now we're actually going to go into trivia.
Yeah.
So, Brian, did you have trivia from last week?
Yes, it was. I said who was originally cast as Al Borland in Home Improvement, and that was Stephen Tobolowsky.
Also known as Ned Ryerson. Bing! That's coming up,
yeah,
guys.
I think he would have done well, but I mean, Richard Karn knocked out of the park.
Yeah, it's a very different interpretation. It's hard to say, oh, he'd have done so well. It's like, speaking of John Candy was originally supposed to play the neighbor in Ghostbusters that Rick Moranis plays. And they both have that, like, I really want to try and befriend my neighbors, but I'm socially off-putting sort of energy. Like, they easily can play that, but they play it very differently. Whereas, Rick Moranis plays Lewis as such a nerdy, like, sniveling character, and John Candy would be like I'm overtly nice and I don't have boundaries, like Gus Polinski from Home Alone sort of character. So you can see that on both, but it would be interesting to see which version with John Candy there. Yeah. Anyway, all right. So I talked about so many shows. One of the shows that I talked about, this they had a scene with 4 actors, and these actors had, between the 4 of them, 8 Oscars. So which TV show that I talked about had that much Oscar power in one scene in their show? So let me know. I'll even let you know, they had 8 Oscars between the 4 of them. I don't know if I said that when I asked the question, but
you did.
8 Oscars. All right. Well, that is it for this episode. That is a wrap on 2025. We're in 2026 now. And so I was going to say it's Olympics. It is an Olympic year, but it's Winter Olympics. So enjoy your winterization and enjoy your midterm elections in 2026. What else goes on in 2026? Enjoy Marvel's Avengers Doomsday coming out at the end of the year. Big year for movies. Yeah, just because of that one by itself.
Fun fact with this, I think it's the Summer Olympics, presidential election years, and leap years are always on the same schedule.
Yep, correct. So if you miss one, because what do we need from an election year? One extra day. All right. Yeah. Until next time, I'm Matt.
I'm Brian,
and we're wishing you a happy New Year and have a good 2026. We'll see you next time.